Hello and welcome back to my channel which is all about putting us back into a state of balance of emotional and physical well-being through energy techniques. I'm Dr. Leonie Morris, energy medicine expert and energy psychologist. So today my subject is on trapped emotions, our emotional baggage. We've all used that phrase. We all talk about carrying that heavy emotional baggage. But what exactly does it mean? How would you recognize if you do have that trapped emotion or that emotional baggage? And more importantly, how do you get rid of it? Now, this is take 3. I'm really struggling with this video today. I have no idea why. And perhaps that's one of the signs when you struggle with something but you don't know why, that you've got some trapped emotion about it. So let's see what that looks like for me. But trapped emotion is something that 100% of us have. It doesn't have to be a big, significant, really disastrous crisis that happens. We can all suffer from trapped emotion, normally as a result of something that happens in our childhood. Very Sigmund Freud. So our childhood is such an important time because in the ages of 0 to 7, we have no kind of intellectual or rational filter. We are literally in a lower brainwave state with no ability to filter out what's being told us. So if we're told to stop crying, to not show our emotions, to be a good girl or a good boy, or, if we're not shown love, not expressed how loved we are, or if we're shown love that's only conditional, so we only get loved if we achieve something, if we do something, if we're perfect, well, we start to build these patterns of trapped emotion in our body. So those emotions at the time would have been fear, fear that I'm not lovable, fear of being rejected. If I don't do this, or if I cry and show my emotion, then I will not be loved. Then I am not acceptable, not worthy. I don't fit in. I don't belong. I'm not safe. So the start of our limiting beliefs comes through trapped emotion. And recently I've been talking about stress, and there is a big link with your trapped emotions and with stress. Let me come on to that. So first of all, let's talk about the symptoms, the things you will notice if you have trapped emotion. Well, there are some obvious ones, and they are if you are still conscious of the thing that you don't want to face into, then you will be suppressing. So you'll actually be having emotions coming up, either fear or guilt or shame or resentment, and you'll be pushing them down, thinking, I don't need to feel that. I'm not ready to face it. I'll do something else. So then comes the big escape. We all do this. We have our ways of escaping. We put on our favorite box set. We get super busy. We go and do something for someone else. So if you're the sort of person who loves finding out about someone else's problems and helping other people, it's quite likely you're not facing into your own because you've got some trapped emotion. That's one of my old favorites. And then if you're escaping, you'll notice things like numbing or distraction. So that's where addiction comes from. So your addiction might be food, it might be cigarettes, it might be booze, but we can be addicted to all sorts of things. And I'm sure you know that entire list. I'm not going to bore you with it now. So we're escaping from our emotions, and that can be either conscious, I don't want to face this, or completely locked down in the deep, dark recesses of your brain. And that's when trapped emotions are likely to have been trapped there as in your emotional development between those ages of 0 to 7. And as I've said, it doesn't have to be anything big or significant. It can be really small. So I'll share an example from my own childhood. I was the youngest of 5 with 4 big brothers. And so my parents didn't have a lot of time for each of us individually. As a girl, I was often the more emotional one. I was instinctively sharing my emotions, but I was told to shut up. I was told my opinion wasn't worthy. I was there to be quiet when no one was there to listen to me. So I learned that I couldn't share my emotions and that my opinion didn't count. And you can only imagine, once that's buried down deep and you're not aware of it, how much fear and how much stress that triggered as I was growing up. So it's the same for anyone. If you have emotional baggage locked away, stuck emotions trapped in your energy body or your physical body, it will cause you stress until such time as you've released that emotion, faced it, acknowledged it, accepted it, and understood it, understood the message, understood what you need to do with it. So we're going to be doing a little bit more of that later on. So I carried that stuck emotion around with me until I realized that there was something there. So whenever you're super critical, so here are some more things to notice. If you're super critical of other people, then it's likely that the subject that you're being critical about is something that you have an issue with. So if you're always saying, oh, they're super judgy, I don't like them, it's likely that you have some types of judgment yourself that you don't like and you don't want to face. If you criticize people for being lazy, then it's likely that you are also lazy. You've hidden it away, but there's something in you, that your shadow personality, your shadow side, a darker side that you were told wasn't acceptable as a kid. So you hid it, you repressed it, you suppressed it, so you eventually repress it through your subconscious mind. It gets buried deep, and that makes it all the more damaging and all the more difficult to work with, which is why we spend a fortune going to see therapists to unpick and to find out what it is that's causing our response. So the reason why some people are more stressed in some situations is because of their buried emotion. So if I go back to my example of being told to hide my emotion and that my opinion didn't count, if ever I was sitting in a meeting at work and I was trying to share something and people talked over me, I was too afraid to talk back or to say you weren't listening or to try and be more assertive or more confident. I just think, no, my opinion doesn't count. But that would be unconscious. I wouldn't even be hearing that in my head. I would just shut up because that was my response. I would go into stress because I was feeling uncomfortable, but I wasn't sure why. And you upset me, I wasn't sure why. So these are all things you can look out for in yourself, all signs that you have an emotion that's trapped and needs to be released for you to get back into your fullness. So what are the benefits of releasing your emotions? Well, you can be more yourself. You can be more true to yourself, more aware of yourself, more mindful of the things that you really need. So you speak up to loved ones so that they see the real you, so that they can respond, so that you maybe get the things that you really need, as opposed to sitting there and sort of secretly knowing what you want but never sharing it, and assuming that people will know by some kind of magic thought transference that they understand what it is that you want. So trapped emotion can bring you down in all aspects of your life. It can halt your career. You're fearful of doing the things where your emotion is trapped. It can halt you in your relationships because you're less trusting, you're more critical, you're more dependent. And that makes love conditional. You've probably learned in your childhood that there were conditions to a loving relationship. And of course that comes back to bite you. So we really do need to release those emotions for you to be more understanding of yourself, more kind and considerate to yourself, to boost your inner cheerleader, to let go of those inner triggers that cause you to feel more stressed. And if you want to know more about stress, go back and look at some of those earlier videos. I've done a whole series on stress and our digestion. So if you've got blocked emotions and your stress is triggered more as a result, you're likely to suffer with your digestion. And equally, if you've got, in another series, I talked about adrenal fatigue, which brings all sorts of very unhelpful and unpleasant symptoms. So you may be suffering from adrenal fatigue as a result of your blocked emotion, as a result of your emotional baggage. So let's get to a way using energy medicine to calm your emotional state, to take away the negative charge, to release those emotions and get back to you living your fuller life. So all of this is about releasing either things that you know or things that you're not sure about. So if you want to work with something that's still really sensitive and still gives you a real negative response, fearful, angry, upset, guilty, first of all, I'd like you to just take away the negative emotional charge. So bring something to mind now that still causes you pain. And we're just going to rub our hands together, our amazing energy tools. If you don't know about the energy tools that are your hands, go back and look at some of my earlier videos, particularly the hints and tips to how to maximize your energy work. So we're using our hands, and I want you to put the heel of your hand onto the cheekbone here. And I want you to cross those little fingers and cover your eyes with the thumbs going across the temple. And as we're sitting here, it's good to lean forward, keeping your body relaxed. The more relaxed you are, the more able you are to look into your past and find this memory that's causing you pain, that's blocked, that you haven't faced into. And just sit with that recall, with that memory. See yourself as you were, knowing that this is not the same person. You're older, you're more experienced, you're not in that place anymore, that everything is okay. And this hold is naturally grounding. So we're pressing our cheekbones here, which are at the end of the stomach meridian, which travels all the way through your body to the floor, taking away that negative charge. And we're crossing our little fingers over this third eye spot in the middle of your forehead, telling your nervous system it's okay. Right here, right now, in the present moment, everything is fine. I'm safe, I'm loved, I'm okay. And we've got our hands over the key neurovascular points on our forehead, our thumbs over our temple, which is another trigger to repattern your stressful response, to let go of the fear, let go of anger or shame, whatever that negative charge is. It's releasing through your body, grounding to the floor, shifting out of your body, out of a place where it's hidden in the dark recesses of your mind. And as you sit here with the memory, you might find that parts of that memory that have been blocked will become clearer. But it's almost like you're looking at yourself through a telescope or through a film. So it's you, but it's not you, because you know that you're in the present moment, safe and sound. And just sit with this hold until you feel like you're in a relaxed state. And if you still feel like there's a negative charge, that you can't quite pull that memory to mind, I want you to use these two fingers, forefinger and middle finger of your right hand, and give your left hand across the centre of your chest. I'm just going to tap between the baby finger and the ring finger, down into the hand part itself towards the wrist, about halfway down the hand. And this is creating a calming electrical charge into the meridian that governs your fight, flight or freeze response, the triple warmer meridian. And again, we're just sending a message. So as you hold on to the memory that we want to face into, the memory that we want to acknowledge, and the memory that we want to release because we have moved on, is a memory from the past. The emotion is from the past. And the only thing that keeps it in your system is you and your memory And now we can release it in an energetic. So as you do this tapping, you should feel calmer, like you can look at the memory with no pain or suffering. So just give yourself a score. If you started off with a score of 9 out of 10, where it was really feeling harsh and scary and fearful and you couldn't look into the memory, where are you now? And wait till you come down to a score of less than 5. So if you need to pause the video and keep tapping, or do this hold again, do either or both, whatever feels good to you, until you feel that the memory is okay to hold on to. That picture in your head feels safe, feels like it's in the distance, like it's no longer you. And now we're going to work with the heart protector meridian. So I want you to, it doesn't matter which armpit you choose, we're just going to use your finger pads to massage in circles into your armpit. Now this is some key acupressure points in the meridian of your heart protector. If you feel some sensitive points there, that's because you're holding on to an emotional charge. You're holding on to an emotional past that no longer serves you. It's keeping you small. It's creating weakness in your energetic body, and it's time to let it go. Just keep breathing as you massage. And as you do this, feel for the sensitive spots. Don't press so hard that it really kind of makes you wince. Too much pain, it will be putting you back into a stress response. So when you feel like any sensitive points have dissipated, like there is no longer the pain then, don't get me wrong, it won't go all in one go. You might need to repeat this a couple of times, or do it for the next week. It doesn't take too long to do. So now we've massaged those points, we're going to do something called the heart loop. I want you to put your whole palm of your hand into your armpit. This is really a slow, deep and sensitive movement to protect your heart, but to open up your heart to release that blocked energy, to release it from the past, to allow you to process it. So we're literally going to draw that energy, almost like you're drawing that past memory all the way up the underneath of your arm, all the way down your little finger. This is the heart meridian. And when you get to the end of your finger, the little finger, pinch either side of the fingernail. And that's creating a beautiful, energetic, pulse, jolting that memory out, and just squeeze and shake it off, almost as if you're throwing away the old emotional attachment. So it's just a memory now, it's in the past. And now we're going to go to the third finger. So grabbing the third finger, as you can see, we're pulling the energy down the center of your arm, slow, deep, deliberate, moving the energy all the way up to your shoulder, onto your chest, and now back under your armpit, pulling the energy, the negative charge, the emotion of that old event, that emotional event that's caused you to be blocked, all the way down the finger, squeezing the finger, shaking it away. That emotion, that charge no longer exists. And you can speak out loud. When you speak out loud, you are bridging the thoughts, the emotions that are stuck in your subconscious brain out into the open, allowing them to be released from the middle finger, down through the palm, over the wrist, up the middle of the inside of your arm, up to the shoulder, onto the chest, to the armpit, down the arm, back underneath of the arm, all the way down the arm, onto your little finger, and off. And one more time, up that middle finger, slowly creating a beautiful power loop for your heart. And now we're going to massage the other armpits. Whichever armpit you did first, we'll go to the other one. And we always find, or nearly always in energy medicine, that one armpit will be much more sensitive. And I've got my right armpit is definitely that way for me today. So this is a really great thing to do because oftentimes we don't realize we're storing emotion, and this is allowing you to release the energy. And when you release the energy that's blocked, your thinking becomes clearer. You're allowed to reconnect to your wisdom so that the emotional charge can be released, so the emotion can be acknowledged and faced, and you can move on with your life without the limiting effects of that fear or that anger or that negative emotion holding you back. So a couple more deep breaths, all the while keeping that memory in your head, seeing if it starts to get a bit fuzzy at the edges, like it just doesn't matter anymore, because that's where we're aiming to get to. The more you do this, massaging, and then that beautiful heart loop, the more we're releasing the emotion, processing the emotion, and letting it go. So there's no more energy block, no more emotional block. So now we'll do the heart loop underneath the arm, slow, deep, considered, as if we're pulling that emotion, that memory from your heart all the way off your body, squeezing the little finger either side of the nail, shaking it off. That memory doesn't affect me anymore. And now going to the middle finger, drawing the energy. This is the energy meridian of your pericardium, the heart protector, up the middle of the arm, strengthening the heart protector, onto your chest and back down the heart meridian. Slow, considered, seeing that memory shift from your heart all the way through your energetic body, pinching a nail, throwing it away. It's no longer in my aura. Back up the inside of the third finger, across your palm, down the middle of the inside of your arm, onto your shoulder, your chest. One more time. Making sure you breathe. Pull that energy, the negative energy of that memory, shifting out of your body, out of your energy, opening the heart meridian, squeezing the fingernail and throwing it away. And then moving to the middle finger, pulling the energy back over your arm, your palm, your wrist, up your arm, up to your shoulder. And then ending, actually we'll end with a heart hug. So just putting your hands into your armpits, your arms are crossing your heart, inviting that wonderful self-love, compassion and kindness. And you can rock if it feels good, but just knowing that you've taken some of the pressure off yourself, release some of that negative charge, will allow you now to sit with that memory if you need to work with it, and acknowledge that it was you in the past, that you've learned, you've found the gift. And that's a really useful way to start processing, is to look at the gift. Has it made you stronger? Has it made you more self-aware? Has it allowed you to see the things that you need, that you can now verbalize and ask the appropriate people for? Whatever the gift is, you will now be in a place of calm, of space and wisdom, so that you can see the gift, so that you know the next steps that you might need to take to resolve that emotional issue. And it might just be that you've just let go of the negative charge, and that you realize that loving yourself, loving the person who might have hurt you in the past, finding forgiveness is the only way to feel good again, to find your fullness and your wholeness, so that you can live life to the full, enjoy all the things that you might have been holding back from. So there you go, that's the energy medicine flow to release blocked emotions, to release emotional trauma. I hope you try that exercise You may need to do it a few times, but every time you do, maybe new things will come up for you to process again. So we're a bit like an onion. We keep peeling back the layers until we get back to our core template, and we realize that we're designed for love, we're designed for peace, designed for harmony. And that's when you know you've released all of that emotional trauma. You've released those limiting beliefs. So please stay watching for more, because I am going to do a tapping sequence to help get over some of these patterns that have kept us small. So overcome the limiting beliefs and the distracting behaviours that we take to avoid facing them. So tune in for more. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for tuning in. Show this some love. Show the channel some love so more people can see this. I really appreciate it. Thanks, guys.